And this is why I get to the topic of the British right, and why I'm getting fed up with this. Why I keep thinking, why am I even wasting my time with it? But it's worth noting and reminding people of the question about deportations, because we can talk about all these other topics, but I think I'm going to talk about deportation before we end the stream. That's the one I'm going to concentrate on. So Matthew Goodwin, who has been very active in the Reform Party, and in fact I think it's a huge asset to Reform, talked about this, and I'll briefly go through his article piece he wrote for GB News. He's actually on GB News as well. Do check him out. You can have to agree with him all the time, but just it's worth listening to. He mentions about this frustration between Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe, and he goes, "Well, I don't want to be drawn into the personal dispute between Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe, which I know many Reform voters, members, and activists out there will find deeply unfortunate and regrettable. I do want to say a few things about his ideological rift. I think more than a few people out there might be losing touch with political reality." Okay, it's a very true statement. What some people online are suddenly and conveniently forgetting is that at the last general election in 2024, Nigel Farage and the Reform Party were the only political party in Britain to call for the immediate deportation of dual nationals who have been convicted of raping and sexually assaulting British children. A policy, by the way, that I advocated before the general election in my newsletter. Nobody else called for this. Only the Reform Party called for it at the last election. Okay, that was Nigel Farage. It wasn't Rupert Lowe, it was Farage. Okay? Furthermore, the idea that Nigel Farage does not care about the rape gangs is nonsense. In reality, as early as 2011-2012, Nigel Farage was the only mainstream politician willing to discuss the issue directly, which he did in northern towns like Oldham and Rotherham, drawing attention to it on billboards. He got a lot of people attacked him for that, as you expect from the political establishment. I know because I was there at the time. Until Mr. Farage started to talk openly about it, the rape gangs were only discussed by the likes of the pro-migration British National Party. I think it's supposed to say the likes of anti-migration. I'm also saying pro-migration, which polled just 3% of national vote at its peak, and Tommy Robinson's English Defence League. Tom Robinson himself only polled only 2% of the vote in the European Parliament elections in 2019, losing his deposit at the same time. Both of these movements alienated the vast majority of hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding British people who desperately and urgently want action on these issues. They want an end to mass, uncontrolled immigration. They want the system to be more responsive and more representative of ordinary people, but they also reject racism and violence. Nigel Farage, in sharp contrast, can both campaign on those issues and as we've seen in 2014 and 2019, can also win nationwide elections. The point is that Reform UK has been leading the national polls. In fact, today another poll for More in Common, although I've never heard them before, we see that Reform is leading the polls alongside the Labour Party, with Reform in first place. There is a serious possibility in the country of a political revolution under Nigel Farage's leadership of the Reform Party. As I said, I don't think that's going to happen this time round. Those who are increasingly seduced by the erroneous idea that Reform UK is selling out really need to ask themselves a fundamental question. Do they want electoral irrelevance, or do they want political power? Do they want a chance to generally change the direction of this country? It's an excellent question by Matt Goodwin, and he goes to my point about, do they want political power? I've been saying this for like 100 years. I've not lived for 100 years, you get my point, I'm exaggerating like Trump does. I've been saying it for a long time. You can't do anything done unless you're in power. You want to sit there on the sidelines and complain about it 24/7, then feel free to. But get out of the damn way, because you have no interest in power. Because you know when you were in power, you would know what to do with it. Which goes to this point I'm about to make to you guys right now. Okay? So, for those wondering why can't you just deport everybody? Now, this is what they come up with all the time. Well, Farage ain't going to deport everybody. Well, there are a lot of issues in the way, which you fail to tackle and even discuss, and not even want to actually debate on, because you know you will not win on those debates. That's the problem, right? You have to repeal or amend human rights protections. That goes leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. The UK is bound by the ECHR for the Human Rights Act in 1998. Article 3, protection from torture or inhumane treatment, and Article 8, right to family and private life, often prevent deportations. The UK would need to repeal or amend their HRA or withdraw from the ECHR entirely, which would be a major legal and diplomatic move. Okay, you saw how the Tories struggled. The Tories were trying to get out of it, but it wasn't straightforward. And it wasn't a very popular thing to do, based on poll numbers, whether you like it or not. We're not the majority, guys. Just to let you know, we are not the majority in this country. Stop believing that nonsense. You're not the majority. You don't represent the majority. If that was the case, we'd be in power right now. But we're not. You got to draw from the 1951 Refugee Convention. This treaty prevents the deportation of asylum seekers to countries where they might face persecution. The principle of non-refoulement. Leaving or renegotiating this convention would be necessary to remove these protections. You also got to change UK immigration and asylum laws. Scrap or weaken individual appeal rights. Current laws allow individuals to challenge deportation orders through appeals or judicial reviews. Well, for those who believe in democracy, surely you believe that's actually a fair thing to do, right? You believe in individual rights. Do you? Do you believe in a just system? Do you believe someone has a right to appeal? Because if you don't really believe in democracy, do you? The government would need to pass legislation eliminating or severely limiting these rights. Do you want the government to have that power to start limiting rights of people? Do you think they'll stop there? Think about it. Introduce new laws permitting collective expulsions. At present, mass deportation would be unlawful under the Immigration Act 1971 and under related laws. New legislation would need to redefine deportation processes, possibly allowing deportation without individual case assessments. You've got to overcome the legal challenges and political opposition, which is one of the biggest hurdles that we'll have. Parliamentary approval. Any major legal changes will need to pass through the UK Parliament, facing scrutiny and potential resistance from MPs and the House of Lords. Alright? Judicial challenges. Even if new laws were passed, the UK Supreme Court and international courts could intervene, ruling them unlawful under existing treaties. International backlash. The UK could face diplomatic consequences, sanctions, or trade repercussions for allies and international bodies. There are also the practical and logistical issues. Right. By the way, this is something that the Trump administration found out very early. They've been using military to deport people, and that turned out to be very expensive. And then they stopped doing it. For those people being cheering and are very happy, no, the whole point was to secure the border first. If we can't secure the channel between us and France, there's no point of trying to do deportations. Because always you're trying to do deportations, these people are still coming across. Okay, so the problem still will continue as a full circle. Finding countries to accept deportees. Many countries refuse to accept deported individuals unless they are confirmed nationals. The UK will need to negotiate agreements. Like that nonsense that the UK tried to do with Rwanda. Enforcement and costs. Mass deportations will require large-scale detention centres, significant border enforcement, and transportation infrastructure, all of which will be extremely costly and controversial. Put the controversy to one side for a second. Would any of you guys want to pay for all this? I doubt it. You can raise your taxes on that? I doubt you want to pay the extra taxes. Well, tax the rich, they can. No. The tax is paying too much tax. Alright? They will fall on us. Now, you may be happy to pay more tax for that. That's fair enough. You're one of those people who are saying, you know what? If we need to get this done, right? Get this done and dusted, let's do it. Right? You'd be happy to do that. So I understand for those who are consistent, for those who are happy to get this done, and to be very positive, and want to push it along, fine. But for those who sit there all the time who are now claiming that Farage and people else are control opposition, I can't believe that nonsense. I don't know what drugs these people are on. Maybe I want to give that a try myself. No. Ultimately, you need to start thinking about how we're going to fix the situation. If we have power, how we're going to achieve it. You need a plan. Now, I like Reform UK to come out a bit more like this, what I've just told you now. How are you going to go through all these barriers? You need to be very truthful to the people and not lie to them. Because a lot of people are being told lies by these so-called social media influencers who have no clue what they're talking about, who want the money, want the likes, want the retweets, right? And be truthful to you and say to you, guys, to do all this, it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to achieve all this. But you need to understand, to do this, we can do it, but here's the plan. Step by step, step by step. This is how we're going to do it. But no one is explaining that clearly to people out there. So they can actually say, okay, you know what? We're going to vote for reform, we'll vote for a party that's going to get it done. We trust them, they've got a plan, they've explained it clearly. Right? Let's get everyone else on board, let's get more people to back reform, for example. Let's just use them as a party in this case. Right? Not this nonsense you hear from people who have got 10, 20,000 followers, 50,000, 100,000 followers. You're talking how Farage is control opposition. Based on what exactly? I asked a question to Ben Habib. I said, can you please tell me what exactly has Farage failed on in terms of this issue when he's tried to do this? Farage has never been in power. Farage has never been in power. He got us Brexit, he got us a referendum vote due to the efforts of UKIP. Farage is the face of reform. You cannot just get rid of him and put Rupert Lowe in there. It's not the same thing. Do I prefer Rupert Lowe still in the party? Sure, like most people. But if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Move on. Grow up. Grow the hell up. Stop sitting there throwing tantrums about what's happening right now between the two of them. Because in 3.5 years to 4 years from now, we'll go for another general election, and you'll be ready for this. You have to be ready. You have to do your part. Are you going to stand as a candidate at all? Probably not. You going to run as a councillor? Probably not. You should go online and reply back and saying, oh, resign now, Rupert Lowe should be the leader of the party. You're still pushing that crap out there for the next 3.5 years, then beyond that too. Next election, complain for the next 5 years. After that, another 5 years. Do you want to win? Do you want, as Matt Goodwin said, do you want political power? That's more important. Otherwise we'll get nothing done. We can't do anything. In fact, it's great that if you look at the people who have been in opposition over the years, who's the most effective opposition politician they've had in the last 30, 40 years? Has to be Farage. He defeated Corbyn, helping the Tories, but he defeated Corbyn. He got David Cameron to resign. He got us a referendum vote without being in Parliament or in a party that was in power. Think about it for a minute. Consider that too. So do your research on this too. The reason I went for all that about human rights, UK immigration laws, legal challenges, political opposition, the logistical issues, because that's important. If you think that's not an issue, you think that's not important, then you're not part of the discussion anymore. Because you think you can just do this overnight. You cannot do it. That's why we have a proper system, legal system in place. If there's any challenges, appeals, you want that too, right? Surely you want that. Because if you want that scrap too, then what kind of country do you want to leave your children, for crying out loud? Right? So keep fighting your corner. Do join a political party. Do fight in your corner, because your voice can. If you're going to throw a tantrum every 2 seconds, you'll get absolutely nowhere. Maybe politics is not for you. Okay? When I was very young, I learned the hard way. Because that's what I was doing before. It was like you. Learn quickly. Keep fighting your corner. Network. Group together. Find allies. And work it through. Because your opinion is just one opinion amongst millions of people out there. So it's going to take a bit of time. It's too early. But I think by that time people will hopefully grow up in the 3.5 years to 4 years from now. And hopefully we'll see some big change happen in this country. Because, Jesus, we bloody well need it. We really need it in this country.